All right, guys. Welcome to Optimizing Forward, guys, where we discuss everything optimizing forward related. It has been a very long time since I made any live streams whatsoever, guys. So I believe today will be the first day I will start doing entrepreneurship again. I have been out of the game for probably 2 years at a minimum. I haven't done anything really entrepreneurial related. So I'm gonna try this out for a while. We'll see how making progress with it. So I'm gonna start making content again. So yeah, we'll make content and then we'll see how everything goes. I was thinking about it. Like I was like, okay, so I would like to make more money right now. So how will I do that? Right. So I'm really not that good at really anything, at least not in terms of this current economic market, right? And that's going to be the topic of this video. But one thing I'm really good at is talking. I am really good at that. Um, so I was like, well, why not talk? Let's make some videos about it. Let's create discussions. Maybe at least at a minimum, we can do something positive with that. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to start uploading maybe weekly videos again. So yeah, it's been a while since I haven't really done anything in a while. But anyways, that's besides the point. So let's begin. Yeah. So I've been doing this really long drive. I would say I drove about 2,500 miles. Drove 2,500 miles, did a lot of different stuff. This drive was insanely long. Um, and one of the things I want to go over is the economic market, right? So I've went through like 12 states, Nevada, Missouri, soon to be North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Arizona, Colorado, all those states, California, obviously. And one of the things that's been very interesting about the current market, if you will, is that like I've been able to get a good gist um of like the overall situation, right? Like we can see the markets, we can see everything that's happening, we can see all this different stuff. And yeah, so like we can see all this different stuff that's going on. And the first thing that I saw when I came back, right, is like obviously confirmation bias, or rather, it was a confirmation of my confirmation bias, and that the economic market is atrocious. Like it's terrible. Like it's really bad. Like really, 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 really bad. So it's interesting, right? So we're seeing the economic markets. I'm looking at everything. I'm like, damn, this is really bad. And it starts with this question, right? And I'll kind of go back to this theme of this live stream, rather. And the theme of this live stream, right, is or of this YouTube channel, is we're trying to be optimize our lives. Ironically enough, I have not been living that message for a very long time, for reasons I won't get into. Like I've kind of strayed off the course. Maybe I don't really know. Really hard to say. Lots of different things going on, but yeah. So like just all this different stuff. It's been going on, been happening, and the first thing I want to denote, right, is that there's a lot of apathy, right? Or there's a lot of people that basically just don't give a fuck, right? So I'm going to denote the two different ways that people don't give a fuck, right? There's the normal, I don't give a fuck, like whatever, I don't give a fuck. I'll just do whatever the fuck I want. Um, and the thing about not giving a fuck, right? Like you cannot give a fuck, right? But you have to do it in the right way. You have to not give a fuck in the right way. You can't just not give a fuck. You have to give a fuck in the right way rather than the wrong way. And that's something that took me a long time to learn. You have to learn to care. And I guess maybe for a while, in my own life, I wouldn't say I didn't give a fuck. I was just more just going to the day to day, just doing the days as I could do them, trying to get through the days. But like a lot of civilians now, a lot of U.S. citizens, right? They're they just don't give a fuck. Period. They don't. They're just they're just surviving. Um, they're just surviving. They're just simply just getting by. Most people are barely paying their rent. Everyone is struggling heavily, I might add. So it's like it's a really interesting experience, if you will, seeing this happen. Um, so like going forward, right? Like I think one of the things that's important to realize is that we have to understand that in order to get ahead, right? Especially with AI, guys. AI kind of, I would say around like 2022, 2023. After around like 2024, guys, I wouldn't say I retired from being a software developer, but I kind of was just done with the entire thing for the most part. I may still try to work in the tech field, but I had felt at that point that I didn't really serve of any value in terms of tech. I know of tech. I know of for loops, while loops, do while loops. I might do a little code a little later on a day just for the fun of it, but like from my perspective, there wasn't really any point into coding anymore. Like I didn't think there it was. I thought it was mostly just a waste of time. Like, what's the point, right? AI can basically code better than some of the best software developers in the world, right? And I never was that good of a developer. I was like, I barely never had enough time. I never really learned the debugger process. I learned a lot of theory about software development. I learned a bit of C++, Python, Java, SQL, all this different stuff. And then there's just AI, right? This with because with Stack Overflow, used to go to Stack Overflow, but now we don't even do that anymore. So it's like AI is just so good at parsing information. It just makes it irrelevant, and that's kind of mostly what I've used AI for is to kind of streamline the process of solving problems. Like with my vehicle, I fed information, it gave me answers, and I would deduce the answer based off the information it would give me. So, I would say going forward, I think the answer is still the same answer I gave almost 6 years ago when I first really started doing this shit and fucking self improvement and all this different stuff. Is that the answer will always be right. The answer will be to to recursively self improve yourself, to recursively review, to recursively do all these different things. It will always be that answer. Okay, I've strayed off the path for a long time. I was really tired of just honestly self improvement in general. I'm just to be honest with you, I'm still sick and tired of it. Like in terms of, I don't want to hear anything about self improvement messages. I don't want to hear about more self help books. You just get sick of it, right? More of these self help gurus like Hamza and all these other people. Andrew Tate was a big thing for a while, and I just kind of shut my mind out to all of it because it's like what like I'm just like I'm sick of it. I don't want to hear any more of this stuff. Because like unless guys, you could be absorbing all the information in the world, you could be absorbing all this different stuff, but if you're just not getting results, you look like an idiot. Okay, you literally look like a moron because you're doing all this stuff for what though? Like what's the point? Like there is no point. That's the problem. There is no point. It's meaningless. It's pointless. And sometimes you just have to learn when to not do things. Sometimes that's the thing I had to learn as well. For most of my 20s, I did a lot of stuff. Guys, but I would say, the message is pretty much self-improvement. I'm gonna, go back to Audible. I haven't done that in a really, really, really long time. I haven't listened to any Audible books, haven't read any books, honestly, in a good couple of years. Do I think it'll make money? Not really. Is it a good habit? Maybe. But just these small little habits that I did for a really long time that separate me. And all that work, guys, I did for those probably 5 years, even now is still paying dividends. Even now, I could not think about something and I can just look at a person and they'll look at me and they just know that I know things that they don't know. They just know it because I put in all the time and the effort. I can snap it on whenever I want, pretty much. Whenever I want, I can just do it. It's kind of interesting because I could just like not give a shit and then I can just turn it on, start doing push-ups and whatever, do a workout. And that's what I did today. I did a workout. I'm going to do more push-ups and stuff like that. And it's not because it's going to make me stronger. It's not because it's going to make me better. I'm just fucking doing it because it's the act of improving, the act of the habit of improving, right? And we'll go back to one of the original books I read a long time ago, The Compounding Effect by Benjamin Hardy. Right? In The Compounding Effect by Benjamin Hardy, he talks about the act of continuous habits, routines, and structures that you do daily that change you, right? So the act of, like, I'm not really expecting dramatic change, but I'm expecting minute progressive change. And that's what has to happen. So what I haven't observed, ironically enough, is I haven't seen people using AI as a super tool to self-improve themselves. They haven't been doing it, and neither have I. Okay, because obviously we're just sick of self-improvement, but like, if you want to get ahead, right? Like, fuck what people are saying about building businesses and all this bullshit. Like, you build a business, right? But the thing that's intrinsic is ability. It's elite ability. It's elite skill. It's elite. The ability to do things that other people can't do. Okay. And you can do it fucking well. Okay. And I mean really fucking well. Okay. That's what fucking matters. Just something to think about, right? The fucking ability to do shit. And if you use AI to augment you, to magnify you, then you're going to get really far. You're going to get insanely far, but you have to be willing to magnify you. Okay. So, one of the things that we have about when we're using AI, right? Because remember, the thing I consider the thing that will get ahead of everybody is, what are the questions I should be asking AI, right? Because it's a superhuman. It can teach you mathematics, can teach you calculus, can teach you anything. Given enough time, structure, and discipline, you just have to know the right questions to ask. Okay. The right questions to ask, the right things to ask, what to say, and what to do. And if you do all these things, then you'll find that you'll know what to do. Okay. So, just like something interesting, or actually, let's actually do an example of this on ChatGPT, right? So, and probably in the future, right? I think the people that will always get ahead in all games, in every game, all games that will ever exist, are simply those that know how to play all games, right? Just like in chess, right? I want to have an adaptable opening that can win in games, or at least give me the best chance to win. Okay, so I'm gonna try to give ChatGPT some various questions so we can ask it some questions. Okay, because I want to know. Give me one second, guys. We're on ChatGPT. Thing you guys have to remember about ChatGPT, guys, is that this thing is only going to get better and better and better. It's not going to stop. It's literally, this thing, it will in 20 years be a super god. It will know everything. Okay, let's go over what it knows right now. Right, it literally knows more mathematics than I know. It knows more history. It knows more literature. It knows more coding. It's impossible. It's a super thing that has all the information concentrated in one single place. Okay. So I'm asking a question. What can you tell me about the current economic market right now? So I wanted to give me a forecast of the economic market that's currently occurring right now, and then let's see what its answer is to me. So now it's going online, right? This wasn't a thing with ChatGPT 3.5. It couldn't just go on the market. It was stuck in a time frame. But now it's able to query the the web and make better outputs. So let's see what it says. Okay, the picture is already fairly clear. The economy is still expanding, but hiring growing has slowed. While inflation remains above target, financial markets, however, trading more are trading much more optimistically than the underlying economy. Okay, so That's fairly useful information going through different sources, it's etc. Right? So let's look at the sources it's going through. So it's going through all these different sources, right? This is what I mean by it's a superhuman magnifier. It literally is doing stuff while you don't even have to do it. Normally, to get all this, you would have to read it, and it's recursively prompting itself, gain more and more information, so you don't have to do the work. Okay, this is a 10x multiplier if you know how to use it, right? It's all about, do I know how to use the tool? Can I use it well? Do I know what to do, when to do it, and why to do it? And if I can use it, what can I do it for? Okay. So that's kind of where it's at. I'm not going to really waste my time trying to wait for it to, okay, the current economic market, my overall assessment, the economy is still expanding, not presently showing a clear recession. But growth and hiring have weakened while inflation remains high. Meanwhile, the stock market is considered more optimistic, which I agree with this assessment. Economic growth is slowing. Real GDP as annualized at 2.1% Q2, down from 2.1. Consumers are still spending. Real consumer spending increased by 0.4 in June, even though disposable income rose only by 2%. Senior rate declined by 2.6, suggesting households are maintaining spend with a relatively limited financial cushion. And now I pretty much agree with this assessment, right? Like for the most part, most civilians don't have savings. Most civilians don't have shit. They have nothing going for them. But they're still spending because capitalism is a spend-based system. If it's a spend-based system, then it's a debt-based system. And then therefore, you're kind of in a market where if you do have capital, then you're competitive and you can beat the normal middle-class competitor, right? The labor market is cooling. Employers are at only, which that's pitiful, 557,000 jobs in June, while employment stood at 4 point. That is not collapsing, but it's clear so from stronger, higher. The July employment report arrives August 7th. Interest rates may remain restricted at 3.5 to 3.7%. Notably, three policymakers refer to a quarter point increase because of continuing inflation pressure. Long-term borrowing is expensive. The 10-year Treasury bill yielded 4.60%, while the 30-year 5 point, the average mortgage rate was 6.61% of July 30th. Okay, so we're gonna read a little more into this. We're not gonna go too much further. So we're looking at the stock market. These are ETF trusts. I mean, obviously, semiconductors are going to go up because AI is still expanding. What this means in practical terms. Let's go to the bottom. For savers, the Treasury bill, money market funds, and high yields should maintain rotate track because short-term rates are still high for borrowers. Mortgage and all loans and credit cards remain expensive, and that makes sense because I was trying to get a new vehicle finance, and getting financing was very difficult. For your perspective, how home purchase was probably the most important part of this picture. At approximately 6.6, a buyer should not build a budget on the assumption that rates will fall rapidly. The Fed's latest vote showed the additional tightening has not been completely ruled out. Bottom line, the environment is best described as slower expansion, cooling employment, plus above target inflation, very strong stock prices. So what this tells me, right, is if I wanted to do what's called a business forecast about whatever it is I wanted to do, I would use AI to do all the research. I would go through it, cross-check these sources, ascertain, verify. And what ChatGPT is telling me is basically what I observed in real life. I was seeing this on a daily basis. We're seeing consumers, your average civilian, your average borrower being nihilistic. As I said before, not giving a fuck about anything, pretty much not giving a fuck, right? And when I mean they don't give a fuck about anything, they don't give a fuck about anything, right? If that's the case, then, like they're just under so much pressure because you're not going to care about anything if you can't get ahead, and they're not able to get ahead. So this is an example of a magnifier of something that you can do to increase your decision ability, your decision capabilities, your decisions going forward to be an effective individual. Okay. I'll give you like another example that's kind of interesting, and then I'm going to wrap up this live stream just because I could go on and on about this. But yeah, so we're seeing that for the most part. Okay. So now that I have all this, it gives me the sources. Senate U.S. Weekly Market Brief. So it's going to give me a brief that I'm requesting. We'll get it to answer it immediately for the most part because there's no reason to wait for this. Creating a scheduled task. So now this is automating a process at $30. Every Monday morning, I'll now get Uber. So now I've magnified my workflow. Okay, so now the next question I'm going to ask, teach me basic calculus. We'll start with that. Teach me basic calculus so I can improve my coding skills. Simple prompt. But the first question is this intrinsically a valuable activity? Well, the thing is, no, not really, right? Because, like mathematics is great for critical thinking. It's good for all different stuff, but it's not really going to make you smarter. It's something that doesn't directly lead to greater financial returns. Okay, but let's look at it. So it's giving me a tailored, customized map of this single objective. Functions, graphs, limits, derivatives, optimization, and integrals, partial derivatives, and gradients. Gives me some Python. The limit, derivative, gives me some exercises. So this is an example of different use cases for AI. So the first one is arguably more valuable than the second one. So we have to, as a person trying to optimize our life, we have to look at it in terms of our optimization flow. We need to ask the right questions to the AI because everything can appear to be valuable, but not everything is immediately, tangibly, concretely, measurably, consistently valuable that is life-changing. Okay, so in other words, I am trying to ask the right questions based off my customized situation or circumstance. And by doing that, I can streamline, speed up, increase my circumstance to beat the competition. And the competition is your other friends, your other people also trying to make money because everyone's trying to make money, right? So if they're all trying to make money, then you need to make more money than they can. But in order to do that, you need to be able to identify and to answer the questions that they're not answering. Everyone has access to this tool for $30 a month, okay, which is nothing. So can you use this system to create tangible, measurable, and different changes in your reality by asking the right questions? And then, really the main separator, if you will, that's going to differentiate you from everybody else in simple terms, right, is going to be the simple fact whether you are able to be able to recursively self-improve with AI. If you're recursively self-improving with AI, you're going to destroy your competition, guys. Pretty much what ended up happening with post ChatGPT is basically everyone's the same. It's actually quite sad. It's like the same thing with the internet. When the internet happened, in theory, you could have learned anything. You could have done anything. You could have become anything. But unfortunately, humans are flawed and we're lazy, and we almost always underutilize 100x multiplier tools. You're underutilizing it. For example, like my Chessable courses that I have, I almost always underutilize them because it's very difficult to do deep work, to do hard work for a long period of time to get fucking good at it. It's really difficult. Okay. So yeah, guys, that's the current economic market right now. The current economic market it's really bad. There's mass firing still happening. People are losing their jobs left and right. Job stability is an all-time low, in my personal opinion. If you're cash flow heavy, cash flow positive, and you have cash flow coming in, and it's consistent cash flow, then I think you're going to get very far. you'll go very far. But in order to do that, you need to make sure that you're using the tool to magnify. And we'll use a book for that one, the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone always talked about multiplier effects, things that scale. Scale comes from either horizontal scale or vertical scale. You can scale horizontally or vertically. And if you have that scale, then you can kind of keep growing accordingly. Okay. Like YouTube, right? It has vertical and horizontal scale. I can scale globally and locally and then get customers to coach you guys. If you guys want coaching, just message me. Yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this live stream. I don't have anything else really to add, honestly. It's very straightforward. Use AI, magnify yourself, keep self-improving, keep recursively self-improving, understand the current state of the economic market, ask the right and proper questions, and then you will find you will get very far. Probably. Have I been doing that? No. Why? Because I just never really cared to use AI. I found it very not uninteresting, but it ruins the fun of mostly everything for me, right? Because the fun stuff is figuring it out, right? If there's no figuring out, then what's the point? At least from my perspective, I don't find it very fun if I can't figure things out. Otherwise, life is boring, right? What's there to do? So yeah, guys, that's pretty much for this live stream. If you guys want any coaching, just message me. I've been offering coaching for a long fucking time. It's never really been that profitable, but whatever. Still open to doing coaching for you guys. I don't really, I'll offer what I can for you guys. Yeah. So like, if you guys want to talk about anything, do anything, just message me. Charge you a going rate. I'm actually going to work up on getting my PayPal back up again. I haven't worked on it in a long time. So hopefully that's something we can make happen. And then if you guys have any questions, anything at all, I might also start doing book reviews again. Haven't done that in at least 4 years. Maybe I might start doing book reviews again. I started the first chapter of this Audible book, and it's pretty much called Man, Economy, and State by Murray Rothbard. I wanted to read it a really long time ago, so it's a really interesting book about the current state of economic affairs. It talks about the praxeological approach of the Austrian economic system through the Ludwig von Mises Institute. So it's a really interesting book. I guess my final thought for you guys, and I'll leave it here for you guys, is that understand that in a capitalist economy, no one gives a fuck what you know, guys. Just don't ever make that mistake. Nobody gives a shit what you know. Nobody cares if you have a degree. Nobody gives a fuck if you have a master's, a PhD. No one gives a shit, okay? You might have a doctorate. You might have all the publications in the world. You might be one of the most famous academics. Nobody cares. Like, in terms of business, guys, the only thing all businesses care about is how much money you bring in every single month. That's what the current system is now. It's really getting like that, okay? That's literally what's happening right now. That's why AI is so life-changing for a lot of business owners, because they can just fire everybody. That's like the business owner's dream. Imagine being able to run a company and fire everybody. You're all fired. We don't need you anymore. I can cut my overhead by 95% and increase my revenue for my company by 95% more. I can magnify it. Okay, that's a dream. This is the dream for most capitalists, most entrepreneurs. They've always wanted this because most entrepreneurs have always had to do 10 different jobs at the same time. Now AI can take all the jobs that entrepreneurs used to do. Like when I used to do on MailChimp, right? You had to write the copy, you had to mail it to somebody, you had to find a mailing list, you had to do all these different things. You had to write good copy, you had to send it out, you had to get someone to respond to the copy, you had to do all this different stuff. Then you had to do it for months on end, and then you might get 3 or 4 sales. Then you had to put the link. Like, this is all the stuff I used to do by hand when I used to write email copy, and they used to charge like $50, $65 an hour to write good copy. Now it's like free now. Now AI can write good copy by itself. Web design, that used to be a thing where you used to have like a Wix site, use the plugins. Now you literally can just make a website for free. It's ridiculous. Like, like troubleshooting huge code bases. Now you just have AI agents that will go through the whole fucking code base. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's like the cost of everything that's technical has gone down by 99%. So don't confuse knowing with doing. They only care about what you can do, not what you know. That's all I have for you guys for optimizing forward. Please message me if you need any coaching. Thank you guys. Give me one moment here. But yeah, guys, I hope this helped you. I'm trying to find how to turn off this video here. All right, it's done.